Is getting a job in today's market a humiliation ritual? Well, some people think so, and they may not be all that far off from the truth. So in this video, we're going to explore why people feel this way. And I'm going to give you my insight into where I think the job market is evolving. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian. I'm the founder of A Life After Layoff, a career strategist and a corporate recruiter. And I've made it my mission to demystify how job search and careers work at major corporations. So if this kind of content interests you, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're tired of employers holding all of the cards in the job search and employment arrangement, isn't it time that you reclaim control in your career? And if you're not sure how to do that, I've created a free 1.5-hour webinar that teaches you exactly what you need to do to start reclaiming control back from employers and putting it squarely in your lap. Now, I'll be talking more about this throughout the video, but if you'd like to get started, you can head over to my website, alifeafterlayoff.com, or check the video description below for links to the webinar. So I came across an interesting TikTok video where somebody is wondering whether or not applying for jobs in today's market is an exercise in futility and whether or not it's a humiliation ritual. And she actually brings up some interesting points that I want to break down. So let's go and check it out first, and then we'll circle back to it.
Being unemployed and applying to jobs is an actual humiliation ritual. We need to talk about it out loud at this point because it wasn't always like this. So back in 2018, I used to be able to apply to like 6 jobs in one day, and I would hear back from all 6 of them by the next day, within 24 hours. Even if I didn't get any of the jobs, I would hear back. But I still was offered like 80% of those jobs, you know what I mean? Nowadays, you're lucky if you hear back. Like, let's think about this here. I go online, I have an Indeed, I have everything pre-set up, I have all my information pre-put into Indeed. So I have to go type in whatever job I'm looking for. 90% of the job listings are scams. They're not real. Like, they're fake. I don't understand how this is even legal, and I don't understand how Indeed doesn't do anything about it. They're not real jobs. They're fake jobs that are taking up space. So you have like 60% fake jobs, and then the other 40% are like criminally underpaid. Criminally. Like, if you don't have a degree, a lot of these jobs are starting off at like, I'm not even kidding, $11 to $12. And then you look even further, and like 50% of those jobs are part-time jobs, or they're commission-based. So finally, after like 40 minutes of looking, you'll find a job, you'll go to apply, oh, it has another website, it redirects you to their website. Now you have to go re-put all of your information in. You still get to attach your resume at the end, but you have to retype everything back in, which, like, it's first world problems, I guess, but it is annoying. So you put all the damn information in, and then you are lucky, like I said, you are lucky if you hear back from them ever again. And it is like, it is exhausting for your soul. It is exhausting. I'm literally going online and I'm distributing myself online for free labor. Well, not free, paid, but like for manual labor. And I'm like begging someone, a company that probably doesn't even give a crap about me. I'm like, please, please take me. Like, this is pathetic and humiliating. And I'm over it. I'm so over it.
Okay, so let's break this down step by step, and I'll go through the different clips of this video. We'll react to it, and then I'll give you my opinion on where I think things are heading overall.
Being unemployed and applying to jobs is an actual humiliation ritual. We need to talk about it out loud at this point because it wasn't always like this. So back in 2018, I used to be able to apply to like 6 jobs in one day, and I would hear back from all 6 of them by the next day, within 24 hours. Even if I didn't get any of the jobs, I would hear back.
All right, so let's stop there and react to what she said. 2018's job market was not necessarily great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And I think that people sometimes have selective memory. Now, it certainly was easier to get a job back then than it is today. The phone was ringing a lot more frequently. You didn't have to put nearly as many applications in to get callbacks. And most of the time, if you were a reasonably good fit for the role, you could expect to get maybe 20 to 30% callbacks. I'm not sure what kind of jobs he's doing. It sounds like it might be manual labor, and in which case you may expect more phone calls back. However, we're not really quite sure, and I'm going to react to the Indeed piece here in just a second. But I don't know if I believe that you're getting a 100% success rate on every application you put in back in 2018. That's just, even in a great labor market with the perfect resume, you're still not getting a 100% success rate. So I think that there is a bit of selective memory. That being said, there is a validity too. It was easier to get a job back then. People are sitting there thinking, like, am I going crazy? I used to be able to look, when I looked for my last job, if you were somebody that made it through the last 2 or 3, 4 years of the job market without getting laid off, the last time you actually looked for a job was prior to the 2020 kind of craziness. You probably remembered a very different job market. And if you're going back into the job market today, it's very jarring. It's a culture shock because It is so different. You can put 100 applications in for jobs that you're a reasonably good fit for and not get a single callback. Back then, you didn't have to have a perfect resume. You didn't have to have a perfect presentation. You didn't have to have perfect timing or any of the things that you should be doing today. And you could still get a reasonable callback percentage. Not 100%, but maybe 30 or 40%. Selective memory, I think on this particular thing, she's trying to make a point, so we'll play along.
What I mean, nowadays you're lucky if you hear back. Like, let's think about this here. I go online, I have an Indeed, I have everything pre-set up, I have all my information pre-put into Indeed, so I have to go type in whatever job I'm looking for. 90% of the job listings are scams. They're not real. Like, they're fake. I don't understand how this is even legal, and I don't understand how Indeed doesn't do anything about it. They're not real jobs. They're fake jobs that are taking up space. So you have like 60% fake jobs, and then the other 40%.
Okay, let's stop there with the fake jobs. Indeed, among other platforms, it's not just Indeed, but Indeed is particularly bad with it, is littered with a bunch of fake job postings. And the reason being is that they have, or at least as of recently, had a free tier where basically anybody could post a job. And so there's no skin off any company's back to throw a fake job out there. And I've talked about this before where with the H-1B, then the scam, if you haven't seen that video, you should check that out. It might give a little insight, especially for tech roles. But there are a lot of companies out there posting fake jobs, and a lot of the jobs that you might see, especially these lower quality employers, and I make a lot of videos talking about how to identify these low quality employers so you don't waste your time on them. But there are a lot of low quality employers out there who are indeed wasting your time. In my last video, I also talked about pipeline recs and evergreen recs where the jobs are just always open or the companies are collecting applications with no intention of filling them in hopes of hiring for a future date. Basically, it's talent acquisition, the recruiting department trying to justify their existence. Oftentimes this happens before there's a major layoff where recruiters are going to get impacted, and if things are really slow, they're trying to be busy, basically is what it is. And they put out a bunch of these requisitions, then they say, well, once the job gets turned back on, maybe it'll be 3 months from now, we'll be able to hit the ground running. That's kind of like the theory. But it really, those kinds of requisitions, when I say requisition, it's a job requisition, it's basically a job posting, is talent acquisition just trying to justify their existence.
Are like criminally underpaid. Criminally. Like, if you don't have a degree, a lot of these jobs are starting off at, like, I'm not even kidding, $11 to $12.
Yeah, and there's a lot of companies right now that are asking for the moon and paying peanuts. And this is this is a precise example of what the job market looks like. If you even find a job that's legit, once you actually try to apply for it, the jobs that are real are asking for college degrees, years of experience, skills that are way beyond what the job title is and what even the job description suggests it's going to pay. And then they throw a $11 or $12 amount on it per hour, and they expect people to jump through hoops. And unfortunately, when you have a lot of people unemployed, people are jumping through these hoops. They are going through it. There's no incentive for these companies to not do this when people are applying to it. It's like the easy thing for me to say is if you want to change the market, change your behavior. If you apply to these jobs, you're essentially giving your vote for a company to be able to lowball you, to nickel and dime you to death, to ask you to jump through all of these hoops. And and this is going to sound probably more harsh than I intend to, but when you don't have power in the employment arrangement, when you need them more than they need you, and in 99% of cases when you are applying for a job, you need the job more than they need you. You are going to be at the mercy of the employer. They can ask you to do all of these things. And if you say no, they've got 1,000 other people lined up who are willing to say yes. And unfortunately, in today's market where so many people are unemployed, have gotten laid off, have had really good jobs, and they're still in the mindset of I should still have this amount of pay, this wage range, these conditions, this type of work that I'm doing. There is a jarring reality that sets in when you hit the open market today and realize that those jobs are so rare and few and far between. There are still some that exist. People are still getting hired into them. I coach people, and I'm coaching people right now who are in the process of negotiating these offers, so I see them. But I have noticed, even in my own coaching practice, that it is getting harder to find those good quality positions. It is not, in fact, what I'm recommending to people right now is, unless you have a very compelling reason, you absolutely have to get out of a company. for some specific reason, there's no choice, I would not recommend that you quit your job without having another one lined up, certainly. But even if you have another job lined up, I would be extraordinarily careful to vet the job opportunity as carefully as I can, because if you are leaving relative safety, and I say relative because, let's face it, safety doesn't really exist in today's market anymore. But if you're leaving relative safety to go into an unknown, you have to look for the indicators. You have to look for, did the company lay off recently? Do they have stability? Is their product viable? If it's a startup whose product hasn't been proven, or they're pre-IPO, they're still getting funding, or the market is evolving away from their product, they're going to become obsolete. You have to read the tea leaves. You have to look at it from that perspective. And even all the vetting in the world can still get you caught unprepared, where these companies are notorious about making these capital decisions, hiring a bunch of people. They have no issue recruiting you away from stability, in some cases moving you all the way across the country, and then saying, like 3 months later, whoops, we made a mistake. Sorry, we're going to have to lay you off. And now they've basically ruined your career. You had a really good job that you left. They convinced you to leave for the promise of some bigger opportunity. And then you get there, and a few months later, the corporate mission changes. And I've seen that happen too. And that's a really sad case, because it's not really easy to go back to your old job and beg for it back. At that point, the ship may have sailed. And now look, one bad job opportunity tends to lead to another one, tends to lead to another one. So you have to be really careful, especially right now. I would only be leaving my current job if I had a verifiably better job opportunity that had done all the vetting, and it's for an alpha company. It's in direct alignment with my long-term career direction. Otherwise, I just feel like it's really risky right now.
And then you look even further, and like 50% of those jobs are part-time jobs, or they're commission-based. So
that's another thing that's happening a lot. Companies have reduced headcount. They have a full-time headcount think of the companies, if you've been laid off and you're watching this, think of the companies that you work for. Chances are they probably laid your position off. Then 3 or 6 months later, they're reposting that same job. They may have broken it down into two smaller jobs, or they may be rehiring that job back in this. And recruiters know this one real well, because this is what's happened to the recruiting ranks. They've been decimated. I know everybody likes to celebrate the poor recruiter getting laid off themselves. The recruiters have been getting just destroyed in this job market, and they will watch their same company 3 to 4 months later. I've seen it personally, where they will repost that same job and they'll make it a fractional role, a contract role, a part-time role, a role that does not have benefits anymore, a role where they basically start to string you along. It used to be full-time, used to pay benefits, used to have bonuses, used to be a really nice position. Now it's fractional. Now it's basically a marginal job at this point, and you have to be excited about it. It's like, imagine you go and interview for a company, you get the job, you realize that the people who are still in the department who haven't been laid off are all getting paid salaries versus a contracted rate. They're all direct hire versus going through a third-party agency. They all get benefits and bonuses, and you're the only guy in the department who doesn't get any of that stuff because you're the new one who came in on the contract. That's what's happening. Or they're shipping them overseas. And again, check out the other video on H-1Bs that I made a month or two ago, that talks about how that process is working, because that's also impacting it. But this is what's happening in the job market. And, she has a valid point.
finally, after like 40 minutes of looking, you'll find a job. You'll go to apply. Oh, it has another website. It redirects you to their website. Now you have to go re-put all of your information in. You still get to attach your resume at the end, but you have to retype everything back in, which, like, it's first world problems.
Okay, so what she's describing is an issue of Indeed filtering over to, she's putting all this stuff in Indeed, all of her contact information, and then she's applying for jobs through Indeed. You have to keep in mind, in most cases, companies are not building their ATS system, their job tracking systems with Indeed in mind. Indeed is just a plugin. They have an API that they use. It just feeds directly in, but there's no real integrations into their architecture. And if you're applying for an Indeed job, you go into an Indeed bucket. So if you click the Indeed apply, you go into an Indeed bucket, and that recruiter physically has to go and log into Indeed to apply. Whereas a lot of these companies have it built so that it reroutes you back to their ATS, or in some cases like on LinkedIn, it automatically filters right into their applicant tracking system, so it's more seamless. But for Indeed, and I know there are ways that you can set this up, but most of the companies I've been a part of, at least, did not have that functionality. And so if you're applying for an Indeed job, you might not even be seen, because sometimes I would forget that I even had candidates in there, to be perfectly honest with you, because I had so many candidates coming in from so many places. So it's always best practice to apply directly on the corporate website. And I know it's frustrating to have to type in all of your information. Those of you who have used Workday applications, you know very clearly what that's like. But fortunately, ATS systems are getting better. They're making some of the redundancies a little bit less annoying, where you don't have to type in a lot of manual stuff. If you build an ATS friendly resume, I teach how to do that in Resume ROCKETFUEL, but if you build an ATS friendly resume, you shouldn't have to do as much manual data inputs. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, she's describing another pain point that job seekers, and the issue isn't necessarily doing it for one employer. The issue is doing it for 500 employers when you're in an active job search and you're applying to a lot of different positions. This represents a considerable time waste. So I understand why she's feeling this way.
Yes, but it is annoying. So you put all the damn information in, and then you are lucky. Like I said, you are lucky if you hear back from them ever again. And it is exhausting for your soul. It is exhausting. I'm literally going online and I'm distributing myself online for free labor. Well, not free, paid, but like for manual labor. And I'm like begging someone, a company that probably doesn't even give a crap about me. I'm like, please, please take me. Like, this is pathetic and humiliating. And
Yeah, what she's describing is exactly what people are experiencing. She's describing the issue with modern job search. These companies have laid off all these people. They now have a glut of candidates for precious few jobs. They've reduced the the good quality jobs into fractional roles, and they basically have made people try to act like they're trying to make you like kind of like a happy seal when they throw a bucket of chum at everybody. We're all supposed to be happy for these crappy jobs that they post. In general, I think like platforms like Indeed and LinkedIn to a lesser extent, but still LinkedIn also has some poor quality jobs, and there's a free feature there for posting jobs too. You're getting a lot of crap on job applications. And if job applications are your only strategy for looking for a job, it's the hardest way to find a job. There are other ways. I've talked about them. I feel it's like till I'm blue in the face, but there's other ways to find jobs that are more effective. Obviously, the hidden job market, which kind of like there is a hidden job market. I think the term's kind of used a little overdone, but the hidden job market's one way. Really, networking. I know people always roll their eyes when they think about networking, but there is a way to go about finding jobs through networking that is much easier. Ultimately, you want the recruiter to come and find you. That's the very best way to get your phone to ring for better quality jobs, because good quality jobs, the recruiters are out actively looking for the right fits, because if they're waiting around for a candidate to just land in their lap that checks all of their boxes, they're probably going to be waiting around for a very long time, and they might not fill the job in the time frame that they need to. And you might roll your eyes and say, yeah, there's so many people out there. Why would a recruiter have any issue? Problem is there's so many people out there. They're buried under 1,000 candidates. And if you throw a whole pile of candidates on somebody and maybe one or two of them has a perfect fit, I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit, but you only have a very small amount of people who are really close fits for that role, and they have very specific requirements. And I know this frustrates people, but it's just the truth. They have very specific requirements. It might be, do you have the right industry? Do you have a specific industry that they're looking for? You might have the right skill, but if you're missing the industry may be very important. And in some job types, industry is a very important thing. Or it might be the amount of experience that you have. It might be any one of these criteria. And oftentimes a recruiter is going to have a job profile, that they're posting, and they're going to collect these applications. But at the same time, they're going off and they're finding their own candidates. And usually, at least in my experience, the candidates that I'm finding myself are better aligned because I'm searching for the things that I need. I'm not hoping that somebody lands in my inbox that has the right stuff. You can get hired by having a good resume and applying to jobs, but it's just the harder way to do it. So you really have to kind of get on the other side of that and get recruiters searching you out. So that means you got to be in demand. That's the bottom line of it. But this kind of goes full circle. Like, where is the job market heading? And I think because employers have basically flipped the market, we are experiencing an evolution of where the market is heading and how careers are even going to look going into the next the next 5 to 10 years. The way job search used to work 5 and 6 years ago, you used to be able to get a job at a company, have a reasonable expectation to work, a decade maybe at a certain employer, build up a nice 401k, maybe build up enough equity in the company, you maybe get a promotion or two. You can build a career, even if it's not skyrocketing through the career, but build a reasonably successful and fruitful career. Those days are over. This idea of loyalty is over. And the companies are the ones that ruined it. This is not employees ruined it. Employees have been playing by the rules that they were taught. We were playing by the rules, and the rules changed, and we weren't really told that they were changed. And so I think a lot of the disconnect of what people are feeling is that we weren't told what the rules were. In fact, we never have been told the rules, and we're just trying to go about our careers the way we were taught to or the way we were observed. The problem is that employers are 1 and 2 and 3 steps ahead because they're the ones who are the market movers, the market makers. They are the ones creating the conditions and the terms. They're the ones that have decided to do all these layoffs so frequently. They're the ones that have forced people into fractional work. They're the ones that have destroyed loyalty. This is not employees suddenly getting pissed off. I think employees getting pissed off is a natural result of being jerked around for so many years and months. So there is a huge disconnect. People are not happy in the job market. They're not happy in careers. But it's the employer that started all this. We're just following their lead. So that's where I think that as a natural result of all of this stuff, where careers are heading, at least in my opinion, is we're looking at more fractional. They're looking at your jobs as fractional, that you're temporary, that you're a borrowed resource, essentially. So you have to start treating your career the same way back at them. Have to start treating it like you are a company of one. You're no longer Joe who works at Acme Corporation as an engineer. That's what I see on LinkedIn all the time. People's headlines say Joe, process engineer at Acme Corporation. You're no longer so-and-so working in such and such job at such and such company. That no longer exists. They've ruined that. You are now the CEO of your own career. You are the CEO of a business of one. And that's how you have to start switching your mindset, that you are now no longer loyal to a company. Doesn't mean that you're not going to do good work and that you're not going to be dedicated and you're not going to give your best effort. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is becoming loyal to yourself first and foremost. And that means you have to build up the right department. If you're the CEO of your own career, you have to have the right department. So you're the CEO, you have to look around your boardroom. You have your education department. You have your skills department, your experience department. You have your marketing department. And each one of those groups has to be supporting you. There's other departments, right, in our fictional career boardroom. But those are the main ones. And you have to be doing all those activities. So if you're not getting the right stuff, you're finding that you're on the wrong side of experience. What are you doing about it? What is your educator, your experience department doing to solve that issue? If you're finding that you don't have the right skills, what is your skills department doing to make sure that you've got the right things? And in your marketing department. And there's also the strategy department. And that's the CEO. The CEO is ultimately setting the course of the career strategy. And so many people just operate with an employer making all the decisions for them. So few people operate with any degree of actual strategy. It is scary and shocking to me. Every time I ask, if you've ever been on a coaching call with me, you know the very first thing I ask you, what's your long-term career plan? And very few people can actually answer it and answer it succinctly. It's a huge problem. If you don't have strategy in your career, these companies will continue to drive your results for you, which for most people is lackluster at best and completely disheartening or humiliating at worst. If you don't start to flip the script, You're never going to be in control in your career. If you don't start doing the things now to start acting like a free agent. Again, this does not mean that you're rushing out and quitting jobs and kicking over planters as you walk out the door, but rather you are no longer looking at your career as a stable, loyal interaction with an employer, but rather you are using it for specific purposes and getting what you need. And when you no longer need that opportunity, you move on to greener pastures. You don't wait around hoping that it's like, imagine a star football player or baseball player or basketball player. They have a contract that they sign. They're trying to win a championship for whoever, trying to get individual accolades. They've got some performance clauses, etc. You may, as a fan, feel that they are your hometown hero. You may feel that they are loyal to your team. But how many of you have experienced your favorite player, their contract expiring, and then suddenly they leave town and everybody hates them? In fact, they act like they didn't even know you. They look at the best possible opportunity for their own individual careers. And it doesn't mean that they're not trying to help the company or the team win the championship, but rather when their time comes and they have a better opportunity somewhere else, it means that they're putting their own needs first. And frankly, you have to do that. If you're putting the company's needs first all the time in your career, you are going to be left out. You're going to be the person who you think you're going to be turning the lights out. But the fact of the matter is that you're going to be booted out just like they are. And there's too many people that have survived round after round and then suddenly find themselves being laid off. And they all say the same thing. I never thought it would happen to me. Job search has changed. Careers have changed. The great news is that we are highly adaptable. This stuff has happened before, guys. The Industrial Revolution changed how we approached work. The dot-com era and the rise of the internet changed how we approach work. And the rise of AI and the changing conditions of the current labor market are changing how we approach work. Yeah, this situation may be new, but it's the same looping pattern, and we have all adapted and survived. People who used to use the printing press back in the day no longer use it the same way. People who were resistant to using personal computers back in the 80s and 90s no longer operate that way. People who resisted using the internet no longer operate that way. And we've all evolved and we will survive. We are highly adaptable, but you have to actually take action. If you're waiting around and you're going to be the last mover in this space, you're going to be the one that's left behind. You don't have to be that way. So at the end of the day, reclaiming control in your career is the only viable option that I've found. And it's something that you have to take ownership of. Nobody else is going to pull you along. Nobody else is going to come and save you. You have to do it yourself. The good news is that I do teach exactly how to do that, so you won't be alone in your journey. Again, check out the free webinar that I spoke about at the top of this video. Head over to A Life After Layoff and check out the resources there. But ultimately, it's all about you becoming your own boss and taking complete control back from these employers. Otherwise, you'll always be at their mercy. And quite frankly, that's no way to live. Anyway, hopefully you found this video to be interesting. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.